Rey's stolen the Skywalker name. Palpatine's legacy gets to continue while the Skywalker Solos, Organas, and Amidala's, all the bloodlines that ever stood up to Palpatine and his evil, get to die out as a final slap in the face of Star Wars and its legacy to have this corrupted character take on the Skywalker name, meaning all these characters died for nothing. And then there's reality. So basically from the moment the sequels conclude, this was a narrative that I saw going around a lot, and even to this day I still run into people who actually believe this is the reality of how the sequels ended. So I finally decided to come around to taking a jab at it and explain all the reasons why this narrative is complete and total nonsense. So if you ever find anyone in your travels that is promoting this idea, go ahead and take this video and just give them a healthy dose of logic for a change. So I think where all of this virtually begins is when we get to the part in The Rise of Skywalker where Palpatine gives Rey this ultimatum where the only way she's going to be able to save her friends is if she submits to the dark side and cuts him down, so that way his soul can infuse with her body, thus possessing her and intertwining the two. And so he can have his new body. And by the end of everything, when all the fighting is said and done, Rey does essentially kill Palpatine like he wanted. So does that not mean she's been possessed by his soul? No, not at all. And allow me to explain to you why. Because the situation Rey is being put in that initial moment, is supposed to be an act of submission to the dark side. By cutting down Palpatine, who is not defending himself and not attacking her, she would be committing a violation of the Jedi way that Palpatine wants, because that would be the ultimate act of submission to the dark side. But the moment Palpatine realizes Rey is committed to continue to defy him, he decides to attack her. Basically, from that moment forward, Rey is not acting in the actions that Palpatine wants her to, because he is attacking her. Literally all the way up to the moment that he is using his Force lightning against her and she is reflecting it back at him. This is not an act of Rey violating her Jedi teachings, because she is defending herself against an adversary that is attacking her. Thus, she is not submitting to the dark side in any way. So Palpatine doesn't get that opening to possess her body. Now, there is this particular idea that because Rey dies for a moment, virtually nearly at the same time Palpatine does, Palpatine might have had the ability to infuse his soul with her dead body before she gets resurrected by Kylo, and maybe that's why she actually came back to life and not Kylo, who gave his life to bring Rey back. However, when you get to the end of the movie where Rey calls herself Rey Skywalker, she is seeing the Force ghosts of Luke and Leia. There is virtually no reason for those characters to show up if she's actually possessed by Palpatine's soul, because of anyone who would know if someone is possessed by some kind of evil spirit, would it not be Luke and Leia as ghosts who would be able to sense if Rey was possessed by Palpatine's spirit? I think not. So just across the board, there's no real evidence that Rey has been possessed by Palpatine's spirit. But then you still have the matter of, well, she still stole the Skywalker name because she didn't earn it. Really? Because personally, I would think that someone who literally gave their life to stop Palpatine, who didn't identify themselves as a Palpatine, didn't take that identity of themselves as a Palpatine, and was asked this fundamental question of, well, who are you? Rey who? Only to have the Skywalker show up and give her the nod of approval to take their last name. That's more than enough reason for Rey to be justified in taking the name for herself, having earned it by defying the most evil man in the galaxy. But there's still the matter of, well, Palpatine's blood still flows through her veins, so technically this is all still a victory for him, that his legacy gets to survive while all these people that stood up against him are all dead now. Well, that's definitely one very grossly over-dramatized way of looking at it, but I think the reality of the matter is a bit more wholesome than that. Because when you look at the kind of character that Palpatine is structured to be, this is a person that grossly fears his own mortality and is obsessed with continuing on his legacy. So much so that he creates contingency plans after contingency plans to ensure he gets to continue his legacy by cheating death one way or another. From ensuring Vader's suit is susceptible to lightning in case the day ever came that Vader ever turned against Palpatine the way the Sith and the Rule of Two expects him to creating an entire cloning facility to ensure he has somewhere to go to infuse his soul into a new body in case he ever does die, is proof of that. And that's not even going into other stories like the EU, where they literally do something similar. But I personally can't think of a more fitting and satisfying final slap in the face of Palpatine's final ultimate defeat than the last living blood-related descendant of his legacy casts aside his name to take on the name of one of the families that stood against him and defied him to the very end. Who, mind you, was also the family that imparted their wisdom, their teachings, and their morality onto Rey, and being more parents and family to her than Palpatine ever was. Literally, the Skywalkers stole Palpatine's grandchild from him. And if in your heart of hearts you actually believe that someone like Luke Skywalker wouldn't be stoked to have someone like Rey take on his last name and continue on with his family name and continue on his legacy and the legacy of the Jedi, you're not speaking on behalf of Luke, you're speaking on behalf of your own anger. And I can't think of anything more disrespectful to the legacy and the memory of these characters than that. Rey is a morally good person, and regardless of how you think her character played out, it's a bit appalling to be so obsessed about how that character played out, to force this narrative of this big, oh, woe is Star Wars, it's been completely tarnished beyond repair because this actually morally good character that's a genuinely good person took the name of the Skywalkers. Oh, boo-hoo! Simply because she is blood related to Palpatine. Does that mean that you think someone who is related to an evil person is tarnished? Do we have those same thoughts about Luke Skywalker? Should Aragorn be justified in his thinking that because a descendant of his fell to darkness, that he has that same weakness in him? Or do you think stories like these are promoting the different message that your bloodline, your blood relation, the sins of the fathers or the grandfathers or whatever are not your sins to bear? And let me just top this off real quick by saying, if you actually believe in your heart of heart that Rey taking the Skywalker name is an all-around net negative for the Skywalkers and an absolute win for Palpatine, you are forcefully substituting your overly negative opinion for this fictional character to forcefully ruin an otherwise wholesome ending for the Skywalker saga for yourself. And let me make something clear. You don't have to like Rey. You don't even have to like that she took the Skywalker name. You don't. But if you actually believe Rey is the kind of person that would abuse the Skywalker name in any way, while being just the overall morally good person that she is, I mean, you can go ahead and make the point, oh, she's a Mary Sue. A Mary Sue, even if we were to just globally accept that's actually the case for her, which it's not, being a Mary Sue doesn't mean she's a morally evil or corrupted character. So if you actually believe that for a character that is this positive, this morally good, this compassionate would actually abuse the Skywalker name and bring shame to it, I have no reason to respect your opinion because it's not even based on objective reality. It's based on this comically over-exaggerated negative interpretation of this character that you don't like. You don't have to like that Rey took the Skywalker name, but the idea that she stole it is just simply not true. And you should do a lot better if you think you respect Star Wars and the teachings of Star Wars. It's something to consider. Thanks for watching today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did enjoy, please give me a like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next video. See ya. Oh, and I almost forgot, just to give you guys a heads up on what my schedule is going to be like with the next few coming videos. I plan on doing a review of the Star Wars game, Jedi Survivor, and after that, boom! I plan on talking about a EU novel that was recommended to me and talk about some of the things that I found interesting and what I thought of the overall story. And yeah, it's gonna be fun!